I just wanted to do a quick video just because I have made the executive decision to give myself a little bit of space, like give myself some slack, I guess, and I'm not gonna decorate my planner much at all, if at all, this week. Mostly just because it was feeling like a chore rather than something I was looking forward to doing. It was like, oh, I have to do that soon, rather than, oh, I'm so excited to decorate it this week. And so this week it's really just looking like this of my like daily to-do list, and then what's happening day of sort of thing, just because I have like a lot of stuff happening this week school-wise, and then life-wise it's very bulky and complicated, and so I just need to focus on all of that. So this week today actually I had a midterm for my like psychology. It's called the Conceptual Foundations of Psychology. A lot of people, it's called like dynamic systems or something like that. It's basically a history class about the study of psychology and like founders and like the original like first psychologist sort of thing. And it's very boring and bulky, and there's so many different isms of functionalism, mentalism, materialism, and it's like they're all, a lot of them are slightly different, or like just a lot of that. Luckily I'm finished with that midterm now, but tomorrow I have a midterm as well for my intro to development psych class, which is more interesting to me, but unfortunately because I was behind in this class, I skipped my development class a lot, and so a lot of the content that I'm being tested on for tomorrow I have just learned for the first time in the past couple days, and so that is stressful, especially because I have so many flashcards, which I'll show in a second, but after doing this midterm, all I want to do is just relax and like put on a movie and not do anything, but I have to cram for this midterm, and so I'm dying a little bit, which is also why I'm not gonna put the pressure on myself to do this spread this week. Yeah, I've been trying to take pressure off of myself a lot recently, especially in areas of like hobbies, of I want to make the things that I enjoy doing purely intrinsic, like especially with starting to do YouTube videos about my planner and stuff like that. Like I want to keep my hobby exciting and not make it feel like a chore. Like I'm doing a video because I was like, oh, maybe I can turn this studying that I'm doing into something fun because I can talk about it and maybe give advice, which is cool. And so I'm trying to do that rather than be like, oh, I have to film myself doing my planner. Oh, I have to make it pretty. It serves me in whatever way I need it to, because it's a tool that I use and I spent my money on it. And so that sort of thing. I'm very busy this week. Yeah, because tomorrow I have the final, and then I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote for the first time. I'm so excited. And my partner and I have are gonna make a little date out of it, or we're gonna go and get boba afterwards, which will be really fun. And then I recently got my part of my tax return, and so I was like, let's be naughty and order a pizza, because not once have I ordered pizza as an adult, just because I can always justify it of like, oh well, I could just get a frozen pizza, and we live right beside a lot of pizza places, so my boyfriend's just gonna go pick it up, but it's still gonna be exciting to get to order pizza and sort of have that like frivolous treat, which is gonna be exciting. Yeah, so that'll be really cool. But then Friday gets even more intense because my boyfriend previously broke his nose and it healed incorrectly, and so he's years later has finally been able to get an appointment, and so he'll be going to get his nose broken and then refixed, and he'll be going under anesthetic, and that's Friday afternoon. And so I'll be taking care of him Friday night, and I got the night off work, and then I'll be working the next night, and then we'll be right back to it next week. So I'm gonna just leave Sunday for just relaxing, chilling, and I'm very excited about that, which will be nice. So yeah, busy week. And so because it's a really busy, stressful week, I wanted to give myself some slack and sort of take pressure away from non-essential areas. And so because of that, I also bought dinner tonight instead of making myself dinner, just because the energy that I would spend making dinner and then washing dishes, because I already have dishes from last night that I haven't done, I was like, it's easier for me to just get a bowl of pho to like comfort me and fuel me, rather than stress about the fact that I haven't gone grocery shopping because I've been so busy studying, especially since it was Thanksgiving this previous weekend. There was so much to do, and so I haven't been able to grocery shop, so I really just have hummus and leftover ham from Thanksgiving, and we don't really like ham, but I digress. Anyway, so busy week, and I kind of just wanted to show my like study methods. Oh, also I'm having a little glass of eggnog as a treat, as like a reward to keep me going, because I really did not want to keep studying today after my midterm, but I pushed myself and I did anyway, and so that's my little reward. Yes, okay, so my new study method that I've been trying out has been physical flashcards. And so previously my study method would be, while in lecture, I take notes, and then based off of lecture slides as well as my handwritten notes in class, I would make a Quizlet like deck online right after class, and then I, at the end of every week, would go over everything. This system that I was previously using was very idealistic, but required a lot of dedication, and if I slacked at all, then I would have to overcompensate for it, and it would just get very stressful. And so I've sort of tried to pivot from that, and so now I've sort of over pivoted, and now in the future I'm gonna sort of do a middle ground. So the past couple months in class, I have been taking notes occasionally in class, but I also found my profs this term are they talk very fast. They talk very fast, and they just read off of the lecture slides, and so there really is not much point to taking notes, if not for just the act of writing it down to contribute to memory. And so my solution to that has been doing my best to pay attention in class, and not sort of let my mind wander off to very wide ranges of success, and then to physically write out flashcards, especially because I find the experience of writing them out is studying in and of itself, and then the actual studying of the flashcards is another level of studying. And then one of my favorite things to do, rather than just active recall, is to either teach somebody the things. So I'll go, okay, well, APA is the American Psychology Association, and it has 56 different sections of psychology, and there are over 130,000 members, like that sort of thing. And tell them that, rather than me just sort of like recite it out loud and then, like, oh shit, I forgot about this part, like that sort of thing. Just because I find having the lived experience of explaining it and teaching it to someone, especially explaining it to somebody in a way they can understand, is also in a way teaching myself the content in a way that I understand, which is good. Pardon me, I have the hiccups. So now that's sort of what I've been going with, although I do think I'm going to try and more regularly make flashcards like I've previously done, especially for my foundations class, because we have a quiz per chapter, and so I think I will, before taking that quiz, ideally make the flashcards for that chapter and then use those as reference for the open book weekly tests, which is cool. Yeah, so my process for flashcard like writing itself is I just write sort of the basic thing. Obviously I don't really need to explain how flashcards work, but then I've also just been putting the chapter number in the corner, especially because I ran out of flashcards as I was writing them, so there's like a big variety in color, especially for some of them, because I have a couple different kinds of flashcards. I prefer these kinds that are like pastel and they have a red line and then these like thinner lines going down. But then I also have some of these that are just regular white, but they have here, they have like colored borders. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like blue edges. And then it has like a dot grid, although it's a very wide dot grid throughout the card, and so I would use these for things that require me drawing diagrams so that they don't get in the way of like lines, because that is like pretty confusing. But then I ran out of my nicer like color coded flashcards, and so I bought other color coded flashcards from my university, and I hate these because the lines are really thick, and so I feel like I have like almost no writing space, and I have very wide writing, which is not ideal. And also the colors are so harsh, but that's neither here nor there. One thing I think I need to work on is that I make my flashcards really long on the back. Like here, I'm trying to find a really old, not a really old one, but a really long one, because some of them are like so long, like this. Like I will fill up the entire page because I basically was just copying a entire slide from the PowerPoint presentation of the prof's lecture, and then I just copied the whole thing on. But then oddly enough, this morning my partner was quizzing me on these flashcards and I was reciting the entire thing, which he found very impressive and then made me feel very good about myself, so I was less nervous for my exam, which by the way went okay. I didn't realize that there was a separate supplementary reading that we were going to be tested on, and that had like 5 multiple choice questions on it, but I vaguely remembered it, so I think I did okay. But I aced the long answer questions, which is really nice, which is also probably just because the prof released like 5 of the potential questions that he was going to ask, so I was prepared for what I would say for each one. And yeah, so I just have all the chapters separate, basically just by the numbers in the corner. And then I try and keep them color coded, but at one point I did not care. I was too tired. And then basically my system for studying is that I will go through the chapter, like the chapter set of flashcards, and I will go, okay, I can explain this one. I'll put it back behind the rest of the cards. And then if I get one wrong, then I'll set it aside, and then say I have like out of 10 flashcards, I have like 3 that I didn't get right. I'll put these back, go through the next chapter, and then I'll just have a pile of flashcard like descriptions that I didn't actively remember. And then I give myself time in between them so that I'm not just immediately repeating them after I've revised them. I give myself a little bit of time to forget and then have to actively like recall the information. And then so after I go through all the cards, I'll go through everything I missed, and then I'll go again through anything I missed the second time. So these were all the flashcards for the exam that I took this afternoon. I actually did the math, and it was, oh here, I did it on this thing. I bought this little carrying case for flashcards from my university bookstore, and it was definitely overpriced. It was like $5. But at the time I was desperate and I didn't really care. But on the back I just did math of how much was in each chapter, and then I added them together, and there were 137 cards, and a lot of the cards are like fucking complicated. Like, look how much writing is on that. Like, it's just horrible. And so that was this morning. And then immediately after I finished that exam, I went to the library. I bought a samosa from the cafe because I was absolutely starving. And then I took a little break. Like, I watched like a YouTube video, and then I got studying my other flashcards. And so luckily this exam that I'm gonna take tomorrow afternoon will only be on like 2.5 chapters, which is really nice. So I'm really excited about that. And so really all I need to do is, I already did that same system when I got home tonight. So I went through all of the flashcards, and the ones that I got wrong I set aside. And then after I went through everything, I went through all the flashcards that I got wrong, starting with like the first set that I got wrong, basically, so that it wasn't still fresh in my mind and I still had to actively work on it, as I said. And super fortunately for me, the prof didn't get through more than like the first third of chapter 6, and so I really only have 8 flashcards for chapter 6, which is probably my savior, actually, because I didn't read or know any of chapter 5, so I just learned that for the very first time. Which is really not a deal at all, but yeah. Oh, here, I kind of just wanted to do like sort of like product, like studying products, so I'll sort of bring these in. And so these are just from the dollar store, and I have since learned that I prefer flashcards from like the dollar store than from my school store because they're horrible. And I really like colored flashcards, especially pastel ones. And I have my little carrot case. This isn't by anybody. And then the pen that I used a couple pens to do my flashcards. At first I started off using the Bic Velocity. It's just a blue roller ball. It's 1.6. I love it so much. I like a really thick pen, and this has a really good like flow. Like it writes really smooth, and it just feels good to hold. And you also don't need to press really hard. Well, I kind of need to press hard, but I like pressing hard. Pardon me. You press hard, and it makes you feel like you're really getting the information in there, but not so hard that I'm getting hand cramp, which is really nice. So I was writing with this one a lot, but then it was kind of clashing with the darker flashcards when I switched over, because they weren't completely black. It's not like a black ink, but I do love this pen. And so then I switched to the Uniball 1. I don't remember what this sort of line of style of their pens is, but I have the blue one. I bought this in Japan on my trip over the summer, and I love it. This is 0.5. I do prefer thicker ended, like the thicker end of the spectrum for pen nibs, just because I do have pretty big writing, and my writing here, I can kind of show a little bit here. My writing does a lot of like, I don't do cursive. I'm too lazy to pick up my pen, and so I end up having like my dotted I sort of lead into my T, or here like my L goes straight from my O, like that sort of thing. And so in thinner nibs or thinner like points of the pen, they end up my writing often ends up looking really spindly, and I find it's more legible in a thicker nib. And then Uniball 1 pens are my favorite. I've probably like not all of the colors, but I have many of the colors, and I just really love how they write. And this one's really juicy, which is good because it makes me feel like effective, I suppose, which is good. It does smudge a little easy if you like go over it immediately, probably because it's so juicy, but I don't mind because the cards are just for me, which is nice. Yeah. Okay, just for fun, just because now I'm having fun. When I actually took the test, I used a pencil, so I used the Kuratoga mechanical pencil. I will say I've had this for like 4 years, and the mechanism that's supposed to rotate it so that it stays sharp doesn't really work anymore. I don't know if it probably used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. But it still is a mechanical pencil, and I really like the teeniest, tiniest little grip on it, which is good because isn't like sticky, I guess. I don't know. But I lost the little cap for the eraser, so it's really hard to get more let out. And then these are just from the dollar store, like Pentel little eraser pens, just so I'm not using up the eraser on the end. So that's what I actually took the test with. Yeah, and then I guess for study strategies, a lot of what has been working for me strategy-wise for studying is to give myself movement breaks. So not necessarily a break from the content, because I have a hard time going from a break of doing a fun thing, like going on my phone or like, I don't know, like listening to a podcast or something like that, and then going into the boring thing that I don't want to do. And so I've been trying to do breaks that are boring. And so I'll have a break where I will, I don't know, like for example, I will go wash the dishes without music on. And so I'm still not actively having to do a lot of mental work. I'm just washing the dishes. It's like muscle memory. But I'm also bored while doing it. So then it is exciting to come back to studying. Or I will go have my nice break. I'll like read a chapter of a book, or I'll like read a couple episodes of a webcomic. Then I'll go, I don't know, like go to the bathroom and not go on my phone at all. So then re-engaging with, or I'll like tidy up my room, something like that. So then when I go and re-engage with studying, it seems like the better alternative to being bored, I guess. I don't know. And then I've also just been sandwiching other tasks that I need to do anyway in between, like I said, with doing the dishes, or also with catching up on journaling. Here's my little journal. And so what I've just been doing is I'll be like, okay, well, I'll revise flashcards, and then to give my brain like a memory break, I'll just journal for a little bit and just write about stuff that I'm happy or excited about, and then I'll go back to it, that sort of thing. And then for journaling recently, I've gone back to using my Pilot Kakuno, and this just has like the basic blue ink inside, just like one of the blue Pilot cartridges. And shit's juicy as fuck, which I love. Yeah, just because this one I feel more comfortable carrying around with me as well, and it's also just more full than my other Pilot, even though it has more exciting ink in it, but that's totally fine. Also because I took this one to class the other day, and I went to sort of shake it up a little bit to get the balls in the converter to agitate all the like luster glitter in the ink, which is my only ink that I showed a little bit ago, and it's the Ferris Wheel Press Blushing Mushroom. But I went to shake it up to agitate the glitter, and I had the pen posted and my cap of the pen flew like a row in front of me and then 4 seats down, and then I had to get a girl to poke the girl in front of her and then get me the cap, and it was so, I didn't have it in me, and so I've switched to using the Kakuno because it doesn't need to be shaken, B is a more solid posting for public use, which is odd that that's something that I prioritize. So yeah, that's been sort of my entire life the past few days. I had a lot of problems with procrastinating, especially because I've been like mad at myself for not staying on top of things, and so it just seemed like a very big, scary task to conquer, and so just getting over the first hurdle was really the main step that I had to take. Yeah, but it's just been crazy. And after tomorrow, it's gonna get a lot less crazy for a day, and then it will be surgery day and it'll be crazy. Yeah, but I don't know. I just felt like making like a little study habits video and such. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope midterm season is going well for everybody. We got this. We're doing so good. Yeah, so have a good rest of your night. I'm going to go listen to the new episode of my favorite podcast. My favorite podcast is called Midnight Burger. It's like a sci-fi sitcom. It's so good. Highly recommend that everybody listens to it all the time. And there's a new episode that just came out, and it's pretty long, which I'm really excited about. It's almost 2 hours, which I'm like, although the credits at the end have been getting increasingly longer, so it's probably closer to like an hour and 15. Well, no, hour and 30. Yeah, so I'm gonna listen to that. I'm gonna do dishes, and then I'll probably just go over all of these flashcards again before bed, but I try not to overload my brain too much because I don't want to be exhausted tomorrow. So I'll probably go over them again before bed, and then tomorrow I'll like get up, have breakfast, and then go over them again before like actually starting my day and then going and taking the exam. So yeah, and I'm less worried about this exam because it will literally take no time at all, because this is the second midterm for this class. There's a midterm every month, so every 3 chapters we have a midterm exam, which is really annoying, but that's okay because everything's more fresh. I don't have to memorize as much, and they're all weighted very low, which is super great. Yeah, and then the last midterm I did I'm not even exaggerating, in 10 minutes I was done. So ideally it'll be super quick today, which is good. So yeah. Oh, here, wait, I want to show my nails. Here, are those showing up? Hey, look at them. I got my boyfriend nail stickers for Christmas because he really likes doing his nails, and so we did our nails together the other night, and it was a good little study break. Anyway, have a good rest of your night. I'm gonna go listen to my podcast and drink my eggnog, and love you. Okay, bye.